Hey everybody! This is our third live of the day, and Cheryl is here. She realized that she did a big ADHD thing, and she was putting some special food on top of Max's food and just left it all around the house. So she's putting that together now. So how are you guys doing? And hopefully you got to see Sid earlier today. You got to see Dr. Shayla. Dr. Shayla was amazing, and that was the first time that I got to meet her. So I figure, and here's Cheryl sort of wandering around looking as if she might actually be here. And Chef Julia may be popping in about a half an hour. So I figured, well, Cheryl's going to be cooking. And what we're going to be cooking, and we'll talk about this some too, is from Chef Julia's book in the bundle, which is Plant-Based Japanese too. And I think you guys know that her mom is Japanese. Oh, Plants Only Muncher says, I'm back for the third time. I'm keeping us both busy.
She is. She's keeping herself busy. Yeah.
I'm ready for nap. I had a little lay down, but I didn't actually sleep. Oh, hey, Linda, you're feeding the kitties. And hey, Lydia.
Hopefully you didn't leave half their food in one room of the house and the other half their food in the other half of the house like I did.
So I'm like, the countdown's going, it gets to 6 o'clock, and Cheryl's like wandering off.
Well, at least when we think we're out of his special food topper to make him eat, like, we'll actually have another one somewhere.
It's true. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the sesame ginger tofu to go on the Yakisoba noodles. And that's from Chef Julia's cookbook. So in case some of you don't know what the bundle is, I'm going to try and give you a short thing. I know many of you have heard this several times today, so take a deep Zen breath. Also, if you are on my mailing list, every other email I'm telling you to go down to the preferences, and you can actually opt out of bundle emails if you've already bought the bundle, or if you just don't want to know about the bundle. Same thing on Heartbeat. You can change your settings, and the last two events, I didn't have time to do it for this one, but if you look at the events from today, it tells you step by step how to opt out of the email notifications should you want to. We are, how many more days was it? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 5 more days of the bundle, and then you will not be inundated with as much information, because it's probably going to be next year when I do 30 lives in 10 days. Right? So the bundle is $8,000 worth of digital products, including ebooks, courses, all the goodies. There's coupons in there, and it's only $49. So how does that even happen? It's because all of us get together, 150 of us are like, sure, we'll put our product in the bundle and put it on sale for this amount of time. So most of the products you can get outside the bundle, but it will cost more. So I have $200 worth of courses in the bundle now. So you could get that stuff later. You're just not gonna get $8,000 worth for $49. Cheryl and I probably tomorrow, I need to look at the schedule, and I'll try and put an actual live up for when we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about, Alyssa gave me a code so I can go through and purchase the bundle and see what it sees, and we can download it, and we can move it to the different places we've been talking about, like Google Drive or to a thumb drive.
OneDrive, if you have Microsoft products, you probably have a Microsoft account and you have a OneDrive account with Microsoft. It's the same thing as the Google Drive, just a different company. They're all cloud-based storage.
Yeah.
So, and they're really convenient to have.
It is. Oh, good. Penny loves that book. Those are great recipes. Davinka's here. So many people. Susan's saying, I'm waiting to buy the bundle till I see Cheryl show us what to do. And so does Fiddle DD. You guys, I'll go ahead and put the bundle link up. And honestly, I will also go ahead and put up email Cheryl at support@Healthy Slow Cooking.
And if you're getting anxious and you want to just go ahead and buy the bundle, go ahead and buy the bundle, and
email.
You can email me and I can kind of walk you through the download, or you can can actually just buy it and then
can
download
do
it
it-
to your computer, and then we can move it somewhere else
well,
later.
if you go ahead and get it, then we will help you. That's what we're saying. So you don't have to think. If you want to go ahead and get it, if you think you're going to forget, just go ahead, and we'll see. If we're not super tired tonight, we might
do
be
it
able to
tonight.
do it tonight.
She's going to be way more
after
tired
I
than me.
eat. After I eat, though, so it would be a good amount, because I'm thinking with us making with you making this, and then
Well, it's kind of us,
Chef
'cause-
Julia coming on. Well, it's going to take a little more time, and that's okay. But we're going to do it in a couple days for sure, if not tonight. And I'm only saying that because if I'm like blah blah blah, that's not going to help you. But we do have a code to kind of go through the whole process, and I think that will help a lot of you guys feel better about the whole thing. What else? So I've got the bundle link there. The other thing is make sure you're in the free heartbeat group, because there's a bundle thread. You can post the things that you're making and pictures. You can ask other people if they're going through some of the courses, and you can go through some of those. The one thing that, let's see, I got it over here. I got so many things over here, you guys. Oh, okay. Is you cannot get this book any other time except in the bundle. This is
Right.
from the contributors. It's a spring book. And I've got, and there's so,
And this is the one that got Rachel's awesome quiche recipe that she was talking about when she was live with us, that I still really want to try. I just didn't think that we had all the ingredients.
well, we've got time to try that. And I was just thinking, you used to really love lo mein, and yakisoba is a lo mein adjacent. It's a Japanese dish, a little bit different sauce, but it does have pasta. And I like that Chef Julia talked about using ramen for it. And you might be like, well, where do you buy that? You usually can get these at Costco. So it's with millet and brown rice. Also, one of you guys asked me to have a class on what to do with these. So I don't know when that class is happening, but now you have a recipe for that for sure. Let me see what else for me. Yay, Janice made it to a live. Dee's here. Lisa's here. Elaine. Aw, you guys are so sweet. And that's a good point. Lisa bought a second bundle today as a gift to her dad. And if you do have someone in your life who's trying to go plant-based and maybe needs a little bit of help, don't give it to the people you want to go plant-based that are doing the carnivore diet, because they're just not going to use it. But I mean, like if there's someone who's really asking you like for more information and help, you're going to have to use their email address, but it's not a repurchasable or a subscription, so it should get there just fine. Oh, great. Janice says, was watching your earlier live with Dr. Shayla. Wanted to say to Cheryl that I heard from some meal prep thing
Skip down.
that refrigerating potatoes overnight improves the starch resistance. I've heard that too.
I've noticed that.
I don't know the science. There's obviously science behind it that I don't know.
Science.
Science, you're funny.
I know, I have that song in my head. Oh no.
It's going to be an exciting night. The more tired I get as the week gets on too, the more silly. So I was like, and this is that favorite artist of ours, Julie Armbruster, that we like. This is the t-shirt she had when we went there that looks kind of like Fergus, doesn't it? That looks like mischief eyes to me.
And I am talking about the song "She Blinded Me with Science." So all you '80s babies, like you're all
Well,
going,
you don't
"Oh,
mean
yeah."
80s babies.
Well,
you mean
'80s teenagers, '80s college people. Like you remember "Blinded Me with Science"?
yeah, the 80s babies don't remember that at all. It's a revival now. They're hearing it at the grocery store.
I know. It's like it's.
And Davika says you can download the bundle, which provides all the links to every product. You can wait and download until you get help from Cheryl. Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see Cheryl cook. I agree. And I think I also picked this because we had some prep done, and I thought we could talk about having some prep done and making things easier. And
we had that tofu we pressed.
Yeah, a couple of days ago. So this is, and it is a little
It's a little
squonky.
lopsided.
That's just how it pressed out. I'm like, I told Cheryl, I'm like, sometimes things aren't perfect and that's okay.
She was afraid that I would get freaked out because it was not exactly the right size on all sides.
And that
So-
does,
Sometimes that is an issue for me. That's why it's hard for me to cook sometimes.
well, and it always is for everybody when they start out. And that's the thing, it was for me too.
But I want it to be, because I get this perfection thing going, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't look like a perfect block of tofu, so can I use that as, kind of thing.
Right, and here's the thing. It's not about perfection, it's about dinner. Right? Dinner, and they say in business too, better done than perfect. Better you're not cranky and hangry than perfect, right? Better fed than perfect, for sure. Yeah, Kitty Mommy is saying she blinded me with science. So we've got some people in our age group. Yep, a lot of those going on.
Can't sing it because then YouTube will block us.
Yeah, it's true.
Copyright.
And Fiddle DD says, I relate to so much what you're saying. And so while it's real easy to look at me and see that I just don't care, I used to care a lot. I used to let it really wreck me and not make things, and it's not helpful. It's just not helpful.
And I know it's not a fear. Like, I'm not afraid to do it. Like, when I was younger, I got in the kitchen all the time. It's not that I'm afraid to do it. I don't want to disappoint her if it doesn't taste good.
I just want somebody else to make me dinner.
I get confused because you got to remember, when I cooked a lot for myself, I was still a sad eater, and so I used a lot of hamburger meat. I used a lot of chicken, but I always would buy chicken breast without the kind of things and stuff. I never got anything that I had to ever really prepare much besides just throwing some stuff in a box. I use box mix stuff all the time. She would get so mad at me when we first got together. Every time we'd go to the grocery store, I'd want to get that suddenly salad ranch macaroni salad, and she's like, you can make that yourself. And I was always like,
I'm
but
$5 for this box of pasta with some dried seasoning? No, thank you.
But that was the kind of stuff I ate. Box macaroni and cheese, box
But
macaroni
this is even
salad.
easier and cheaper, really, in the end. And we're going to talk about how some of this stuff got easy. It looks like I cut up a bunch of stuff for Cheryl, but I actually cut up a bunch of stuff for me. So what we're doing first off, we've got just some water on here. And this is I don't have to pay attention to you, and you're not going to ruin my life.
It's magic. I
And
use it all the time.
And so it's really nice to have something like that with pasta. We have another boil over thing somewhere over here too.
I don't know where that other one is.
I think I wonder if I gave it away since I'm not using it anymore.
I haven't seen that one in a
This
while.
is my favorite one. And so we're just going to let that get hot, because what we're going to do, so the first thing we did is we talked about it. We need to boil our pasta, so let's let the water get warm. We need to air fry our tofu. We need to marinate the tofu. So while that's coming together, we're going to cut up and marinate the tofu. And then we have the vegetables. There's a couple of things we have to cut with the vegetables. And we'll talk about how I prepped some of these so it's easier. And look at this, store-bought coleslaw mix.
So that's cabbage and carrots, and that's it?
Cabbage and carrots.
Okay.
So it's really, really pretty easy. Right? And let's see. Here we go. Okay, I lost my mouse. Yeah, it will be your version. I'm sure no copyright on that. The Cheryl original version.
Yeah, because I'm sure I don't remember all the words.
And Justine was saying, hey, Cheryl, that cooked tofu is going to get all crumbled up in your your mouth anyhow, so don't worry.
Right.
So the first thing, and let's go ahead and do overhead and come down. Well, maybe not that much. And we'll move this up. is take this whisk. So since this is Chef Julie's recipe and the recipe's in the bundle, I'm not giving you all the amounts. But I can tell you in here, if you want to start whisking it, there's some tahini, soy sauce, ginger, and garlic.
And then we learned earlier that we should whisk back and forth.
Well, that's going to be really thick, like the thickest peanut butter ever.
So maybe in a circle?
Why don't you stick it in there instead of deciding? You're going to probably have to, yeah. You're going to have to break it up a little bit. And that's because our tahini was in there for a long time. With the, come here, mouse. Where are you going? All right. So with the tahini, if you aren't using any kind of seeds or nuts, butters, you could just do toasted sesame seeds for sure. So, and let's see, how does it work? Oh, do you mean the thing at the top? That just actually, so if it starts to boil over, you get like this extra 3 inches of stuff, so, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, store-bought slaw is a lot. And you can get broccoli slaw, you can get all different kinds of things. Okay. We're doing pretty good. You want to whisk a little harder now and try and see if you can get some more cut up, or does it need to have some more smashies?
Maybe smashies.
Okay, let's see. Let me see if this will help a little bit too, just because I'm actually going to take a masher and see if that softens it up at all. We could also have done this in a blender. We just don't use tahini that much, so our tahini was a little...
I didn't even know we had tahini.
Okay. Tastes good. This is going to be delightful. And when we put the tofu in there too, it'll smear some of it around too, so we'll be okay. So the recipe is in Chef Julia's book, Plant-Based Japanese too. So both recipes, the tofu recipe and then the yakisoba recipe. Smashies, I know, right? I talk like I am a solid 3-year-old. And see, that looks good enough. Let's talk about what
got chunks though.
It does. Yeah, it's just a basic Asian sauce. And so there are some chunks in here. Ooh, and see, I'm getting crazy. I'm like working on it to see if I can get any more of it to go. And if not, it's going to be fine. So you
should have wore a bib.
Oh. So we're going to cut this, and I believe, let me see how many pieces she said to cut it into. Oh, that's no problem at all, Jill. And again,
that's in the bundle. And we printed it out and had it bound.
Yeah, so it was $5 to have it bound. We're making the ginger tofu.
Because we feel like this is one that we will go to time and time again.
And we're going to cut it in 8 pieces. And actually, you know what? We'll do this together. Let's see, let's do this one. There we go. So this one pressed wonky. So what I'm going to do is put the big side on the bottom and kind of, this will help me be closer to getting it actually in half evenly. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Only it doesn't look that way on, it looks that way on this side. It doesn't look that way on this other side at all. See, look, this is the side I was seeing, which does look that way. And maybe what I'll do is just cut off some of this other tofu and I'll save it in something else we're going to eat.
Could I just have left it not the same size and just tried to cut the squares into the same size?
Yes. Well, yes. And she said 6 pieces, so I'm going to do about here and then about here. And then we're just going to kind of layer them in. You want to turn to overhead? Please.
Why is it not going?
Because you've got to click it. That's not the overhead one.
Clicked. Oh,
There you go.
sorry guys.
It's okay. And so it'd be better if I had a bigger thing, but go to the front camera. The very front. All the way to the side, yeah. Okay.
I'll figure it out.
And so this is a pretty tight lid. So if you have this is not as tight as maybe it could be, but I will turn it over back and forth a couple times to get that really coated. Okay, we're just gonna set that aside for a few minutes.
You just let it sit there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you put your noodles in there and then let's time it for 3 minutes is what that one said.
Do I do them one at a time, or just can they both just
They
go
can
in?
both go in at
And
the
I
same
just
time.
put them in like this? I don't
Yeah.
have to break them up or anything?
Here, and if you want to bring that back, we can have them look at it. Because we can break them up later. I'm going to move that if oh, the mouse is backwards.
I don't think this pan's big enough for both of them.
Give me a wooden spoon. Wooden spoon. Yeah, that'll be fine. And so what's going to see how it, there you go. They're in
But
there.
then the other side's poking out.
Not really. It doesn't have to be perfect. See, look at that. It's all covered with water now that's coming back up to a boil.
Okay.
Now let me get the 3 minutes on here. And
Just kind of move it out of the way.
yeah, well, let's keep it up for just a second. It's not going to be that long. And I'm going to just move this tofu over and rinse this knife off real quick. I'll get another cutting board.
And you don't have to stir them or anything like regular?
You can a little bit. So like what'll happen is they're blocks, but as they cook, we can take them apart, but you don't have to. They're going to naturally do that. See? Do you see how that's working?
Yeah, they're like coming like curly cues.
Yeah, and the reason ramen noodles are so awesome is because they are really quick cooking. Ramen noodles usually have wheat in them, but these guys, and if you came in late, I got these at Costco. So I think there's like 12, it's a 12 pack. I don't remember how much I paid, but you can see them in there. They're still in their little cake format. Aw, TS is joining late. What is the flour cover? This, so if it boils up and starts to boil over, this will catch it. It gives you a lot of wiggle room when you are not paying attention or doing 7 things like we're doing right now. I use that all the time when I'm doing cooking classes, because there's no way if I'm doing 2 things or 3 things at once that I can pay that good attention. And honestly, I don't have that great of attention span anyhow for things like this. That's why I like slow cookers and Instant Pots, things you can walk away from. Let me see how we're doing. Yeah. We have just a little less than a minute. Penny says, this is making me hungry. I must now switch to my iPad and go in the kitchen and make it. Absolutely. Oh, good. It does. I'm glad that it's helping to learn along with Cheryl. Good. And you guys, when I'm cooking too, you can ask these questions too, please. But the reason we're doing it in this order, it's going to take the water a while to boil. So we wanted to get the water boiling, then we mixed up our marinade.
Because that's the next thing that takes the longest?
Yeah, well, it's got to sit there for 15 minutes, so probably we'll move the pasta and I'll turn it over, and then we'll be about ready.
Okay.
So sometimes when you have a multi-step recipe like that, think about what takes the longest and kind of put it in one column, what takes the shortest. We're going to saute vegetables, and here we go. And so this one didn't come close to boiling over, which is like a first in all of humanity for me. I've got some pot holders for you, and you can dump those noodles in the colander I have set up. So even if I'm cooking all by myself, a lot of times I'll still set up some of these same things. I'm like, here's my towel.
Do we need this pot again, or do I set it on the
We
stove?
do not need this pot again. You can set it on the stove. We're going to use the bigger pan to saute and then put those in.
And I don't have to rinse these or anything?
You can, but you don't have to. What we'll do is we'll see how long it takes us to do everything else, and I might rinse it. So if you rinse it, it's just to get the starches off, so if it's sticking really well. Okay, so, and that's a good question. Justine says, is ramen a dry starch? It is until you boil it, and then it's not considered a dry starch. It's a weird one. It starts dry, but you add enough water. So pasta is starch solution compliant, for sure. It looks like a collar for the dog after a surgical procedure. It does. You can buy it on Amazon. I will try, when Cheryl is stir frying, if you guys remind me, I will try and find one for you as well. I'm pretty sure I have a couple of those in my Amazon store, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, Lotus Foods has forbidden rice ramen, which is black, red rice ramen, which is red, jade rice, which is green, which is all fun. Okay, awesome. So these onions are from a big bag that I did, and I cut in the Breville peel and dice. Diced it up with that extra small dicing blade that Cheryl will use. Yay, right?
They still look kind of big.
Well, then you're going to have to live your best life a different way, because that's the smallest one. So I also had, there was a special on shiitake mushrooms at the Asian market, so I sliced them and put them in the freezer. So these I really pulled out just like this already. I did go ahead and make up the sauce, which was like ketchup and soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce. It's a very simple sauce. And so I went ahead and did that because I'm not supposed to measure things while we're doing it live. And we've got the coleslaw mix that we're using for the shredded cabbage. So we are going to add some more carrots, and we're going to put a little bit of purple cabbage in there. Oh, I hear Chef Julia.
Here she comes.
All right, how do let's see if
Hold on.
okay, this is going to be exciting. This is there, and I think I can put you in here. All right, we can see you, Chef Julia. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So you're like in the corner.
Okay.
And we'll move things around. So we've got the tofu marinating. We've got the ramen cooked. So Cheryl is, let me get back here. There we go. Cheryl is new in the kitchen. So I was kind of explaining, and we're varying a few things, but we've made the sauce. We've already made the tofu. We've got that kind of marinating. I'm going to flip that over. And we've got the ramen cooked. And do you get, this is what I get from Costco.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I use that one. I also like the black rice, but for the yakisoba, I use that exact one. The big thing is you don't want to overcook it. Because, you know, if you take it out, if you cook it the amount of time they tell you, sometimes it's cooked too much. Because
We'll
it starts
find
to
out.
soften up. It'll soften up even more as it kind of sits around. So anyway,
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, it'll be exciting. We'll be okay if we...
it's all good.
And that's the thing. It's always good to know these things, but it's also one of the things I'm trying to teach Cheryl and other people are out there new, that even if it's not perfect, it's going to be really, really delicious, right?
Yeah.
And so we have some coleslaw mix, so we're going to use some of that.
Okay.
We've got a little bit of purple cabbage that Cheryl's going to cut, and we've got a purple carrot that Cheryl's going to shred with this shredder. And this is a really good beginning shredder for people if you're going to shred by hand, because you have your little measuring cup in there and you can find out exactly how much. Here you go. And use the big one.
How do I know which one's a big?
Just say that again.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Cheryl really doesn't cook much. Let me.
Are you supposed to do it
noodles are
at
gonna
an
be
angle
good.
or something? Like it's all coming.
We can just get some of that off. Yeah, maybe angle it. I think this carrot here.
There you go.
Finish it real quick. And we can put all that in there. That's why we clean our counters before we start cooking.
Wow.
You can get some from in there.
That is super messy.
It's okay. I usually don't use this. I usually will go ahead and just do a bunch of carrots at the same time in the food processor. Okay. She's scared to touch the carrots on the counter.
I have this thing about touching food with my hands, which also makes it really hard to cook. But I'm getting better at it. Like I'll eat Ethiopian food now.
She used to not eat
good.
Ethiopian food. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece of this, just a little bit, because that's what we have in here. And so what you can do is, and tell me, Chef Julie, if you have a different way of explaining this. You want to keep the tip at the bottom and go down like this and move it, right? So we can, and then we can do it real fine.
What about your fingers?
You keep them
Cup your
curled
fingers,
up.
all of them. I'm going to get something real quick.
I'm not great at curling my fingers up, but I have really fast reaction time. So I'm going to, since Chef Julie's here, I'll go ahead and do, you want to do a little bit of it?
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and cut that in half.
I just wanted to show you what I used to cut my cabbage and carrots when I made it.
Ooh.
Is I have this cheap Progressives mandolin, and it does slice or julienne, either one. You can just switch it back and forth. And for a beginner, it's really nice. You put your glove on, and then you just take the cabbage and you just, so anyway, that's how I cut the cabbage and carrots. I should have said that in my recipe, but cutting it with a knife is always good.
We're just doing very beginner stuff because everybody wants to see Cheryl cooking.
Good.
See, look at that.
Better. That's fine. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you get it cut up. Really, that's the basic thing.
Exactly. So
Cooking is just, you got to just do it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So I'm going to turn this on about medium heat. And we've shown your cookbook a few times. I got it all bound up. Oh, let me go back this way. Of course, because we're going to use it all the time. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put that marinated tofu in the air fryer in just a minute too. We're going to cook it up and over medium-high heat. Let's turn up just a little bit. We're going to cook the onions and cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes.
So put them in first.
Yep.
What do I use in the pan?
I'll give you a wooden spoon to use, maybe. Here we go.
Okay.
And there's some water, should we need it.
But since these were frozen, they probably don't need water.
Yes. It just kind of depends on how much we pay attention to them. I find, Chef Julie, when I'm teaching classes and I'm doing 2 things at once, I add more water just in case.
Because I don't want it to burn while I'm talking about something else.
What's this? And say that one more time.
I do the same thing because sometimes I have my pan over here and I'm looking over here and I'm talking about this and I don't want to burn it, so I'll kind of douse it a little more than normal. Yeah, I understand.
Oh,
Oh, it's okay. I'm not sure what's happening. Sorry, I just clicked something on my earbud and then something.
I can hear you fine.
I know, it pulled up a whole music thing on top of our computer.
I keep getting
I
feedback.
keep getting feedback
I
too.
think it's this thing causing it.
Okay, it's never done it before, but you don't have to keep touching with it and everything. How weird is that? Let me turn up a little bit more.
Let me see.
Are
if
you
that
getting
cord's
some
touching
feedback
something.
from us, or just in our ear? We can deal with it. I think the cord may have touched something, is what we're wondering
Could be.
on the other side. And you can really kind of see everything start to sizzle a little bit. And so, Chef Julia, would you like to tell us a little bit about this recipe? And maybe, is this one of the ones your mom taught you how to make? Or did this just become a favorite a different way?
It's all the time.
Oh.
They disconnected.
I know. Okay, give me just a
Hold on.
second. I'm trying to just see if we just put this on
Yeah.
here. We're going to see if it's less feedback this way. Can you say something now? Oh, I think it's on your side. There's a lot of noise interference coming from your mic. And yeah, other people lost your sound too. So it's not, here, we can try this again. But I thought it was my earbud.
So you can't hear me?
I can now.
Yeah.
Okay.
There for a while it was very crunchy, weird. And so I thought it was my earbud, so that's why I took my earbud out to hear it on the speaker. Oh, and now I'm not. Oh, I heard you go, ha-hum.
Yeah, she's talking, but
Yeah, we're not. Do you want to try and go out and come back in again?
And just computer. Mic. Try that.
I don't think you. I think you're gonna have to change. Oh, she's gonna come back in.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, you see how some of this is. There's a lot of water. Some of it was because it was frozen.
Here she comes.
Yay! You're back.
Okay. I turned my mic off and I'm using my MacBook Pro speaker for a microphone now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Okay. There may be something about my microphone that was
You know,
messing.
I gave a presentation one time, and this little thing here
Was loose.
had unscrewed and loose, and it did something weird.
It kept
So
making
you might
like
just
this
test
weird,
all the
like weird
connections.
bell noise.
You know, I was having a lot of problems with that. I'm thinking about getting a new kind of microphone, so I've been looking at different brands. But anyway, the yakisoba is a street food. And so in Japan, whenever there's a festival, and you know, like how we have hot dogs and stuff, they have a guy or a girl with a great big huge griddle, and they're slapping together yakisoba, and they put it in a paper boat, and you eat it outside. And then the other way it's really popular is they have. Did you see my recipe for okonomiyaki?
Oh, yeah, that looked amazing.
So that's the same thing. There's a restaurant in Japan, a bunch of them, and they have those Japanese pancakes, and you sit around a griddle, and you either make the pancake and you cook it, and then you slice it up and eat it, And mine in the recipe book is really cool because I use my mung bean egg. So it really tastes like the real thing. And so then, but in the restaurant, they also give you the stuff to make yakisoba. So you put the vegetables on the griddle. Yeah, no, that's amu rice.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry.
yeah, it's in that same area. But
Oh, it's the next page.
yeah, that stuff is really good. Yeah, that's okonomiyaki. It has the best texture. It's kind of chewy and it's got all the vegetables in it. And then you make like a little mayo sauce and put some pickled ginger on it. It's like the most delicious thing. But yeah, so the restaurant in Japan, you go in there and you have your, you make your okonomiyaki and then you make your yakisoba and then you douse it with ketchup or Worcestershire sauce or whatever, and it's just really good. It's like comfort food. It's like
Oh, that,
mom food in Japan. Like, your mom, if it's a busy weeknight and she knows she's got some vegetables and mushrooms and cabbage and some leftover pieces of whatever. Now I use tofu, but back then my mother would use, meat. And then she would fry everything up in a great big pan and add the noodles and fry it up. And we would eat steaming piles of yakisoba for dinner. And it was delicious. I loved it.
oh, it sounds amazing. Now, Cheryl always loved lo mein. And I know this is different than lo mein, but I thought this would be a really good thing for her to kind of have for her lo mein fix.
Right. It's very similar. Lo mein is a Chinese version of noodles with vegetables and protein. So it just has a different type of sauce flavor combination, but it's a similar type of dish. It's noodles and protein and vegetables. So this one has the distinctive thing of yakisoba is a Worcestershire sauce flavored sauce. And, that's kind of the profile, which I kind
And
of like.
I love that kind of profile, so I think I'll like this maybe even more.
I think you're going to like it a lot. Here, you can smell.
Oh, wow.
And
It's real punchy sauce.
Yeah.
is there a Worcestershire sauce? Oh, let me come over here. I'm in the wrong spot for how I set everything up. This is a weird Worcestershire sauce that just happens to be, vegan for no good reason. Sometimes they have anchovies in them. Do you have a brand
yeah.
that you prefer?
I think I have Annie's Organic that I got in the regular grocery store. That's a real common brand, and it's vegan on the label. But yeah, regular Worcestershire sauce has that little anchovy or fish paste or something in it.
I have noticed that some places, when I've gone to look now, like for a while, and I always check the labels because it can change, but Whole Foods brand for a while was also just vegan, just for a while, and so you can check that out as well.
Yeah.
TS is asking, are soba noodles thicker in wheat? Does it matter the thickness? Because we're not really using soba noodles for this yakisoba, but would soba noodles be more traditional than ramen?
No, actually, ramen noodles are Chinese style noodles and they're stretchy and they tend to have a chew and a bite to them. So that's what you want in your yakisoba. So the traditional noodles in yakisoba are kind of like the noodles that are in ramen noodle soup. They're wheat noodles typically. So I picked the Lotus brand rice noodles because they were healthier. Those noodles have some kind of whole grain ingredients, and they're just a little bit better for you than just a plain old wheat noodle. So that's why I picked the Lotus brand rice noodles, just to make a little bit a healthier version of this. Soba noodles are meant to be eaten in soup or cold, and they tend to be a lot more fragile. So they don't lend themselves to being fried very easily. They tend to break up if you try to put them in a stir fry. They don't hold up well.
Water.
Whereas these noodles will hold up a lot better in a fry situation like this. So that's why you would want to stick with. Either you could use a whole wheat spaghetti noodle. That's what we used to do at home when my mother didn't have the traditional ramen noodles. And she would just get thin spaghetti noodles. So
Oh, like,
that
like
works.
angel hair, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or you can find whole wheat thin spaghetti noodles, are easy to find. Whereas I don't think you can find whole grain in angel hair. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that.
You
But
can now. There's a
Yeah.
chickpea angel hair as well that's
Oh,
quite good by Bonza
Bonza.
oh, okay.
Bonza. Yeah.
that I
But I
really
think that,
like.
the thing about my recipe is it doesn't matter what noodle you use because you're not going to have it in the pan very long. You're going to put it in at the end when you put after you put the sauce in, and then you're going to well, you're going to put it in at the end, lightly mix it, and add the sauce. Because in my preparation of this, if you kept the noodles in too long and messed with them too much, they're all going to kind of deteriorate because we're
Okay.
not, they're not your typical noodles. So that's the important thing is that you just don't leave them in too long and you don't handle them too roughly. Make sure
Okay.
everything else is well.
I was just going to say we're not following your directions exactly, but we're having a longer
Okay.
conversation over the vegetables. So normally you would go ahead and cover these so they could steam a little bit.
Yeah,
We just
I would
added a
do.
little bit of water so we could visit.
Uh-huh.
I'm just telling everybody else. I know you know that. And then we're going to add the cooked noodles. We're not using scallions because Cheryl hates scallions. And I'm just going to run just a little bit of water over the noodles.
Hey, Cheryl, taste your vegetables and see if you like the way they taste right now. If they're cooked enough for you, your vegetables.
We get a couple of
Mm-hmm.
things.
Or do you want them more cooked?
I mean, they may be fine. I can't really tell from looking at them.
They look pretty close to me because we're going to add the sauce and the noodles.
They're good.
You don't like it when it gets, you want to scrape out the noodles in here?
Oh, nice. Now, at
And
this
then-
point, I would use tongs. I
Oh, would
use
you?
these
Okay.
steps,
We've
'cause
got
that way
some.
the noodles won't break up.
Kind of fold it with the tongs.
Exactly.
You've
Yeah,
got
very good.
tongs right there. 'Cause- And let's see.
Okay, add the
You want-
sauce.
Mix first or add the sauce then mix?
Mix lightly, add the sauce, and then mix again.
Okay. You can.
Very nice. Cheryl's doing a good job.
She's very gentle with all of this.
That's good. It will taste even better to you since you made it yourself.
Exactly, right? And I have some of the marinade left over. And so I was thinking what I probably would do is pour a little bit of that on top of some of the air fried tofu
Sure,
or keep
yeah.
it and put a little more tofu in there.
Okay.
Yeah, you ready? And I just like to mix up sauces for stir fries in these little OXO containers. Do you have those and you use them too?
I usually just put it in a bowl and whisk it up, but that looks like a good idea.
Sometimes I'll go ahead and make, like if Cheryl is like, I love this, when I do like some weekly meal prep, this could be something I could prep up and put in the fridge. Real easy. That looks so,
Well,
it smells really good, you guys.
and it looks like something that we always have ingredients for.
Let me turn this down a little bit too.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
bought the big sack of those noodles from Costco, you always have the ramen noodles.
Yeah, there's actually a ramen place in downtown Durham that makes a vegan ramen that's really good. But sometimes we can only get, one. We can't pick a whole bunch. So it's nice to make it at home. But Cheryl usually makes like a nice pasta dinner for us once a week, and this would be a really great one to have. You can really smell like the Worcestershire sauce that I'm going to mispronounce 17 more times. It's got a lot of umami from that tomato ketchup coming on in there. It's just really delightful.
All right. I think I've got it
Yeah.
pretty mixed up
I'm going to turn off the
without
heat.
destroying the noodles.
And the tofu's almost done, but it needs just a little bit more time. So we can go ahead and plate up some things. I wish you were coming to hang out with us, Chef Julia.
Yeah.
I would love that. I could bring some miso soup or something and some links.
Oh, that sounds incredible. and like something I could be really into. I'm about ready. I ended up putting in obviously not traditional sushi classes, but some sushi classes I did.
I saw that in the bundle that you had like onigiri and sushi and stuff. I said, "Oh wow, Kathy's got some Japanese classes here." I thought that was great.
It is. Well, I think we've talked about this before. I used to do Aikido. I did Aikido for about 8 years, and so our head guy was a World War II guy from Japan. So he was an older, very traditional gentleman, and so we fixed a lot of food for him. But
nice.
Sushi, I think people, and even Cheryl is kind of like, well, that's fish. And she hated fish even when she was eating meat. And it's like, no, you can do all those things so much better. Do you have a favorite ingredient for sushi?
Well, what was really cool is I made my mung bean omelet into like a little tamago, because in Japan, one of the fillings in their vegetable sushi rolls is egg. So I made my, just egg copycat into a thin omelet and then cut some pieces of that and put it inside a sushi roll with shiitake mushrooms, carrots, cucumbers, and tofu. And that's in the cookbook too. It's called fukamaki. And then it's like a real big sushi roll, but there's something about the egg and the tofu and the vegetables, and it's real satisfying because it has all this mushroom, tofu, egg kind of thing. So I don't know. I love that one. And I take it to parties and stuff, and people think it's delicious. They don't even question that it's plant-based. They just think, oh, this is really good. Then they say, what's in it? And I tell them, oh, mushrooms, tofu, mung bean eggs. And then they're like, huh?
They're like, that's weird, right? No. Well, you do things with the Japan Society where you are, right?
Yeah, I always make a vegan option for myself, but I'm like the only one that wants it. So I always bring my own food. I cook the food for all these people, and it's not plant-based because they don't eat plant-based food. And then I bring my own little tofu dish with me. And then when they're eating all that other stuff, I'm sitting there eating my thing like what you guys are eating.
Oh, I just tasted the marinade. It's so good. I'm going to let some of the tofu go a little bit longer.
You probably want chopsticks, don't you?
That's okay. I'll show you if I can move this.
Do you have any pickled ginger?
I might have some pickled ginger right
Oh,
now.
this is okay. I mean, if at some other time, that's traditionally they serve yakisoba with little shredded pickled ginger.
Oh, and see, I've never had it out because it's always meaty. When when I've been at Japanese restaurants, and even when I was doing Aikido, I was still vegetarian.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes.
And the cabbage is supposed to stay crunchy like that, yeah?
Yeah, you could cook it more if you wanted to, but this is the way that you can eat cabbage. She's Polish, half Polish, but it's taken me this long to get her to eat cabbage.
Yeah, so you don't like it too cooked?
I don't. I guess from just smelling it too much when I was a kid, how it's constantly around you, and then you remember that you're like kind of like.
That's
so I would just stay away from it.
Yeah. That bad smell of cabbage is when it's cooked too long.
Yeah, or overcooked broccoli. So that's what I grew up on was real, and it has that smell.
This tofu is delicious.
Oh, good.
So good.
Oh, this was great, and it was really easy. So the only thing, making those marinades, the marinade and the sauce took like no time at all. When I go to the Asian market and they have a sale on shiitakes, I go ahead and slice up a bunch of them. I take the stems out and I dehydrate the stems separately and make mushroom powder with them. And then I freeze the sliced shiitakes so that they're just always there.
That's good. Smart.
And then we cut up, I got that Breville peel-and dice, and for Cheryl I got the small dice one. And so I just go through now and I cut off the ends of the onions and take the skins off, and unless they're big and you have to cut them in half, it just goes clunk clunk, and then it's done.
I don't even taste the onion in here.
No. And so you thought it was too big, but once it got
I did.
sauteed.
I thought they were going to be too big for me, but no. Like, this is perfect.
So tell us about some other recipes in your book that we should try next.
Well, I think you would like this black rice noodle salad because you can use your brown rice noodles too. You can use those noodles you already have because I use the Lotus noodles on that. And it has a peanut sauce. So try that one. It's the very next recipe after the yakisoba. But if you like peanut dressing,
Oh, yeah.
then, or sesame dressing, it's really good. And then I make it with crumbles. And tofu crumbles are similar to the tofu that you have there, but I crumble it up. But it has cabbage and carrots and a little cucumber and cilantro. And then there's a peanut dressing earlier in the book here. My book is not as organized probably as yours are, but
That's because yours is a working copy, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, let's see what else would be good.
Ooh, tell me about the miso soup balls.
Oh, I just made those the other day. I did a little reel on that, and I have them in my freezer. And what's really good about them, and I have one of these any day silicone containers, which is really cool, but you can use anything. You can just form them into a ball. But you basically take your miso paste and you add you don't have to add scallions, but you add wakame seaweed, which is the kind you use in miso soup. And then I chop up tofu real small and put it in there. And konbu dashi powder, I have to order that online or buy it in the Asian store, but it's like seaweed stock. It's like a powdered seaweed stock. And maybe you make something like that. You make all those different kinds of mixes, but you can crush up seaweed of some type and just put a little bit of that in there, and that gives it that kind of sea flavor you get in dashi, seaweed dashi. Yeah, that's it. Oh, you like the ramen noodle soup. There you go. There's your ramen noodles, like the ones you get in the restaurant.
And this is Chef Julie's book, Plant-Based Japanese too. Somebody's saying, pass us a plate.
I'm so impressed that you bound it and everything. That's kind of cool.
Well, you're the one who taught me that I could do that. Remember you did that with my Ninja Creamy book, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
I did.
And
I still
so
do that all the time too.
it's pretty awesome. So is there anything else in the bundle that you're excited about?
Well, I did really enjoy your starch solution book, Thriving on Starch. I loved reading your story, and I just like everything you guys do, so that caught my eye. I like that, and I liked your contribution of having all those classes with the Japanese flair, because of course I like Japanese. And I love the North Indian cookbook by Broccoli Mom.
It's
So
really
I'm going to
good.
make her tofu tikka masala naan wraps, hopefully 5 days, because I've been going live every morning at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on 4 different places and making stuff from the bundle. And that's on my list to make. Tomorrow I'm making carrot cake energy balls. And that one is from, I can't remember whose that is. I don't have the names of the places these things came from written down right here, but I've got a whole list. I'm going to make fig ice cream with balsamic glaze, but I'm going to make it in the Ninja Cream. So I've already got my homemade fig jam and bananas freezing in the creamy jar, and then I'm going to process it in the Ninja Creamy, and I'm going to put the California balsamic fig balsamic vinegar on it. So I found so many good things. Oh, Heather Dahman is the Garden Gourmet. That's where the carrot cake bites come from. I made Chef AJ's Goodman's peanut chews.
Oh, yeah.
And I brought them to the chef's meeting yesterday to get them out of my house so I wouldn't eat them all. They liked them. They were all over them. They were like, oh, these are so good. And I'm going to try to make Lissa's raw wraps tomorrow. I haven't really ever made them, so tomorrow I'm going to start the process of making the batter, and then I'm going to put it in my food. I have one of those nice food dehydrators, so I'm going to put it on my silicone sheets, put it in for 12 hours, and if it comes out, I'm not going to make a raw wrap. I'll probably make it a combination of what I like to put in there. Some vegetables, I might put some tofu or something in there or something else, but I'm going to use the wrap that she makes. But yeah, out of 150 things, there were so many good things that I could just go and look at that stuff all day long.
I know, it's super fun. It, and I want to make the wraps. I've got the
Pans are somewhere.
I've got the pans. Oh, and then I kind of want to try them. I have a real dehydrator somebody lent me, but then I also want to see if I can do it in the Breville. But I figure I'll try the real one first since I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. I bought one of those. I bought one of those Excalibur dehydrators, and it's really nice. It works great. So hopefully it'll turn out. But that's what I've been doing this morning. I made the tofu egg salad sandwich from the Spring Inspirations contributor book.
I looked at that this weekend. Was it good?
Delicious. Yeah, I loved it, and it was like good for Easter because it was so tasty. Yeah, and it's the egg salad sandwich. It's by Amy Cowell, and it had such a good flavor. But here's the funny thing: I use my Japanese mayo from my ebook because she says vegan mayo, and she doesn't really specify what type. So I had my own vegan mayo that I had left from making onigiri on Chef AJ. So I had a bunch of that left over. So I put that in there, and I didn't use as much turmeric. I think I changed it up a little bit, but I made a beautiful sandwich with it, and I had it for lunch. And I usually don't eat a full sandwich anytime. I like to eat a half of a sandwich. And
Right.
so I couldn't stop eating it. It was like, oh, this is, and I was thinking the egg salad would be really good with like Mary's Gone crackers or stuffed in little potatoes. Like, how
Oh
everybody's
yeah.
eating deviled eggs. Well, take that tofu egg salad and put it in a hollowed out potato and, put a little cayenne pepper on it. And it was like it was like something you eat at your Easter dinner, basically, is how it tasted to me.
Wow.
I loved
We're
it.
gonna have to make that one.
Yeah, we'll definitely make that. Well, I really appreciate you coming in and doing some private chef lessons
Yeah.
here tonight for Cheryl.
Appreciate it.
She got the special treatment. And
Hey,
as
I'm
always,
so glad that you made my dish. I think that's so cool.
oh no, well, we just love you. So one day we'll be together somewhere and we get to actually meet up in person. But thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with
We
us.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you guys get the bundle. If you're going to get the bundle, just go ahead and do it. Cheryl and I think you missed this, Chef Julia, but I'm going to put this up once we do it into the contributors Facebook group too. We're going to go through, Lissa's given us a code, so we're going to do a video about all the steps to buy it and what it looks like, and then we're going to put it on a Google Drive, and then we'll put it on a thumb drive if we can find a thumb drive so that everybody knows how to do it, because I think that's the only thing that's hard. Do you ever have questions from your people about that?
Yes, I had somebody who thought they were buying the bundle by going to my PayPal account and buying it on PayPal, and then they were waiting for me to send it to them. And I said, "Oh no, you have to go to the bundle link." So yeah, I've had some people that weren't sure what the whole thing was. So yeah, occasionally.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll make that a little bit easier. I know we talked a little bit earlier that some people were a little nervous. It's only 540 megabytes, which
Oh, that's
can
not bad.
easily go on a Google Drive or a thumb drive without any problem. And once you have it on a Google Drive, you can download a book on your iPad. Then you could be driving with your family and going, I would like to see this book before I go to the store, and download that one down on your phone. So it gives you options.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think people would benefit from knowing the steps because they're just not familiar.
Well, and it's something that happens once a year, right? So even if you did it last year, it might be just slightly different this year. So hopefully we'll do all that. Jennifer, I would say most of the recipes probably do not have nutritional analysis. Um, but this is what I recommend. So my traditionally published books do. But we did it by going into a program on the web and putting in exactly what we used and the defaults. I find, like, even with the blog, it goes and pulls from a big main database. And sometimes those informations are just not correct, especially with sodium and things like that. So if you have a health condition that you really want to keep track of everything, I encourage you to use the one your doctor recommends, or if not, find one that works really well and put exactly what you put in. So if you're using Whole Foods almond milk and not Trader Joe's almond milk, put all that information in, because things can get a little bit off that way. Do you have a favorite one, Chef Julia?
Well, I hate to say it, but I never identify the nutritional information. I just, because I don't track it like that anyway. I keep track of my sodium, and that's about it. And since I avoid all the other stuff, pretty much, I just don't even worry about it. I try to keep my life simple. So I guess if I ever got to be a true cookbook author like you, where I had to actually have a real published cookbook, I'd have to do that, but I haven't had
You
to do that
actually
yet.
don't. You don't. I did it because so many people asked me, and I really try to do the best I can. Marilyn says Chronometer has a free option. It's recommended by many doctors, so that's what I would look at. And Chef Julia, Penny is asking, where does your t-shirt come from?
Oh, yes, look at my shirt. I wore it
It's
to the
super
gym
cute.
to work out, and it's from Dr. Greger's website. It's got the Daily Dozen on it. And so
Oh,
it says
nice.
it's from nutritionfacts.org. And you can
Nice.
order it online, and I think they run a little small, so it's a little snug. I mean, not too bad, but it does. If you like loose fitting shirts, get a little size bigger. But
That
I
does
saw
not look snug on you.
It doesn't look snug at
Maybe
all.
it's because you worked all that off. I don't know, but maybe it seems snug to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah,
You're like,
somebody came to my house. I have these retreats at my house, and one of the people that attended was wearing the shirt, and I was looking at her going, "Where did you get that shirt? That's my life, the Daily Dozen." And she told me, so I immediately ordered one. So I wear it, and the other one says something about I can't remember, about health. Yeah, I can't remember what it says, but I ordered two, and the other one says something about plants are the best medicine. I think plants are the best medicine, and it
ooh.
has
Nice.
a green plant, and I wear that one too. It's black with the green thing on there and white writing, so it stands out.
Cool.
Well, I hope you guys are surviving the bundle. It's day 5. I'm about exhausted, and I went to the gym to work out, and I told my trainer, I said, I need this because I'm about to lose my mind from, scurrying around doing lives and being interviewed and trying to get the cooking all set up and
Yeah.
looking at Sindel to see if I sold any. I mean, I'm just ragged.
I totally understand. Like, I lay down, I had 20 minutes I could take a nap. I lay down, I couldn't even go to sleep because you get so wired. I knew I had 2 more interviews, and I was nervous that I would just not wake up because Cheryl was at the office today. But, it's all worth it. And one of the things that I love about Bundle Week, and what I keep repeating to myself, is because it is like kind of like Plantapalooza. Like, we're all going live, and everybody gets a chance to find new people that they like and build out the community even more.
And we meet new people that we can have on the show after the bundle and stuff that we really like and want to get their message out more. People like you.
Of course, well, you're always welcome. You know that. You always have a default invite anytime you want to come on for anything. Do you want to talk about anything else today? I know you're coming on the show later, but can you announce the thing that's going to be coming up for you, or not yet?
What? Oh, I know. Yes, I can. When I come on Friday on your show, I'm going to talk about donabe, and I'm going to show you my collection of donabe and make something easy. I'm going to steam gyoza in it. And donabe are clay vessels that they date back hundreds of years. and they're
Fascinating.
special clay, and they're beautiful. And I have a whole collection of them that I have, gotten over the years. But it's a really cool method of cooking. So that's what I'm going to do on your show, and I'll make something really simple, but I think you'll really enjoy it. And you probably go out and buy yourself a donabe because I think you're an equipment addict just like me.
You think? Well, that's exciting, and I can't wait to see you back. And again, thank you for being so generous with your time and showing up an extra time during Bundle Week with us.
Oh, I was honored to show up because you picked my recipe and that you thought it was good enough to be on your show. So
Oh,
I love you guys. You're wonderful. And I wish you all the best. And, I hope people buy lots of bundles from you.
oh,
You
well, thank
too.
you so much. And you guys, when you get the bundle, make sure that you download Chef Julia's book and use it because it's got lots of great stuff in it. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow. Possibly later we may come on, but I'm thinking it's going to be tomorrow. I think I'm going to bed at like 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
How about you?
All right. Good night, you guys.
Okay, good night. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.